Lesson 26 is about more complicated equations, so we're going to take what we learned in Lesson 25 and apply it to problems that have a little bit more complexity. So our first problem is 3x minus 4 is equal to 5x plus 7. Now in this problem, we need to figure out the one value for x that will make the left side of the equation the same as the right side of the equation. So x in both of these things will be the exact same number, we just need to know what it's going to be. It's hard to look at these mentally, especially in the beginning, and figure out what that answer would be. So let's go through with a method. What we want to do is we want to get all the x's over to the left-hand side and all the constants to the right-hand side. So in order to do that, I'm going to add 4 to both sides. We know what we do to one side of the equation, we can do to the other side of the equation as well, and keep it equal. So we now have 3x, negative 4 plus 4 is 0, so we don't need to write that, is equal to 5x plus 11. This is the same equation that we have up here, we've just rearranged the way it looks to help us to figure out what x needs to be. Now we want to bring our x's all over to the left-hand side. Let's subtract negative 5x from both sides, because that will leave us with 5x minus 5x, that's 0 x's over here. We just have 11 on our right-hand side. 3x minus 5x, that's negative 2x. So we have negative 2x is equal to 11. In our final step, we want to get x by itself. We're going to multiply both sides by negative 1/2, because that's a reciprocal of negative 2. So negative 1/2 times negative 2 cancels out. We're left with x by itself. X is going to be equal to 11 times negative 1/2. Now, 11 is the same as 11 over 1. Okay, and we can see that when we multiply 11 times negative 1, that must be equal to negative 11. And 1 times 2 is 2. So x must be equal to negative 11/2. And I'm just going to rewrite it so it's very clear in my answer that negative 11/2 equals x. You could change that to negative 5.5, but you don't have to. You can leave it as an improper fraction for full credit on your answer. Let's look at another one. This one. First thing we want to do. Okay, we've got multiple terms. We want to bring all of our like terms together. So let's first figure out how many n's we have on the left side and how many n's we have on the right side. So negative 7n plus 2n must be negative 5n. When we add those coefficients, negative 7 plus 2, we get negative 5n's, plus 3 is equal to, on the right-hand side we have 4n plus n, that must be 5n's, 5n minus 5. Now this problem looks very similar to the last one we had. Let's go ahead and let's move the constants to the right and all the variables and their coefficients to the left. So we're going to subtract 3 on both sides, just rewriting to make it more appealing for us so we can figure out what n is. 5n plus 0 is equal to 5n minus 8. Now we've got to bring our 5n over, so we're going to subtract 5n from both sides. 5n minus 5n, that must be equal to negative 10n, and that's equal to negative 8. And now we can go ahead and solve. In this problem, let's go ahead and say we're going to multiply by negative 1/10, because that's the reciprocal of negative 10, and we want n by itself. So this is going to cancel. We're going to multiply negative 8 times the same thing we did on the left-hand side. That's negative 1/10. Let's make negative 8 over 1. So now we can figure out what n is. If we look at this, we can see n is equal to, we've got negative 8 times negative 1. Well, that's going to be a positive 8. And 1 times 10 is 10. We've got to simplify this to get our answer of 4/5. So n must be equal to 4/5. And we're all done. If you have a question, please rewatch this part of the video or write it down for our next class period. Let's move on. Pause now if you need more time. Okay, we've got 2x minus 5 plus 7x is equal to 5 plus 3x plus 10. Now remember, the first thing we want to do is bring all of our like terms together. Let's figure out how many x's we have on the left-hand side. 2x plus 7x, that must be 9x. We have 9x minus 5 is going to be equal to, well, we've got only 3x's on the right. 5 plus 10, that's 15. 3x plus 15. So now we can go ahead and solve. If we want to solve, we're going to bring all of our constants to the right. So let's add 5 on both sides. Just rearranging, still the same equation. Just going to help us figure out what x is. We have 9x is equal to 3x plus 20. Then we can go ahead, we're going to bring all our x's to the left, so we're going to subtract these 3x's, so minus 3x minus 3x. We're going to be left with 6x is equal to 20. And now we can multiply by the reciprocal, 1/6. 1/6 times 6, that cancels out. We've got x by itself. 20 times the reciprocal of 6, that's 1/6. Now we can go ahead and figure out what our answer is. Let's simplify before we multiply this time. 20 over 6, that's going to be the same as 10 over 3 when we cut them both in half. So our answer, our final answer, 10 times 1 is 10. 1 times 3 is 3, so we get 10 over 3, which is equal to 3 1/3. You can report your answer either way or both to get full credit. If you have a question, please go ahead and write it down. Alright, our lesson practice, we're going to continue this topic more in our next class. We'll be on page 112. Make sure you've got your notes completed, and I'll see you soon.